Hello and welcome back to the Embracing Your Powers podcast. So for today's episode, I want to talk about the fear of success. But not only that, where the fear of success comes from and how to stop it or overcome it. And you really can't talk about the fear of success without talking about what the root of the issue is, which is procrastination. So we'll talk about why you procrastinate, how to recognize it, and ultimately how to stop it. Procrastination and the fear of success is likely something that we all struggle with. It's definitely something that I struggled with for a long time and never really noticed what was happening because it was so ingrained into my brain in such a sneaky way that I didn't really realize that the fear of success was part of the issue. So hopefully this will help you recognize what's going on as well as be a little bit more intentional and overall successful in your business or whatever goals you have. And the first thing I want to talk about is what really is procrastination. And I'm sure we've all experienced it. Procrastination is avoiding something you know that you need to do but don't really want to do. And sometimes we may even procrastinate on things we want to do, but we either don't have the energy to do or we're too overwhelmed and we don't know where to start, so we procrastinate on it. And so what do you do about that? In terms of business, let's say you want to start a blog, but you can never seem to find the time to sit down and do it. Ask yourself why that is and then really evaluate why that is as well. And you're gonna have to be honest with yourself, even if it really means calling yourself out on your own bullshit a little bit so you can see what the true issue actually is. Because if you never want to procrastinate on this thing again, you have to get to the root of the issue, which may be uncomfortable if you're not ready to face that just yet. And the truth is, you're likely just getting in your own way. And while it's not likely your fault consciously that you're getting in your own way because you're in your head thinking, well, I want to do this, I just never really have the time. But subconsciously, you know you do have the time, but you make sure to fill all the extra time that you do have with random stuff to give yourself the illusion that you don't actually have enough time. Or whatever your excuse may be. Maybe you think, oh, I don't have enough money to start the blog, but you just never sat down and budgeted and figured out how much am I spending? Could I save a little bit more money this month so that I can afford to buy the blog? Or whatever your excuse might be, everyone's is going to be different. That's really what procrastination is. So you have to sit and think, do you really not have enough time? Or did you spend more time sitting on the couch watching Netflix? Or did you spend enough time scrolling through social media when you could have been researching how to start a blog? Do you really not have enough money? Or did you not bother to look at your budget and say, where is all of my money going? Can I actually afford a blog this month? Can I save a little bit? Whatever it may be. The reason you're procrastinating could be self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back from starting what it is that you want to do because you fear success or because you don't know where you want to start. You have too many things going on and you're just so overwhelmed that you don't know where to start. A couple of different things could be going on there. And the circumstances are yours and everyone's is different. So maybe you really don't have enough money, but you might in 6 months if you save a little bit. Or maybe you don't really have enough time, but you can do one thing one day, one thing the next day, and you have to take it slower than other people. There is a lot of different things going on, a lot of different scenarios. Everyone's doing their own thing, so only you can really evaluate, are my excuses valid or am I just making them up and making up excuses in order to procrastinate on the thing that I really want to do? But how do you know if you're sabotaging yourself or if your excuses are actually valid? You have to be willing to look at your own habits and reevaluate them, and then you might be able to find out what's wrong. And this is where procrastination really comes in. Do you talk yourself down every time you start to work on this goal? Like, for example, maybe you're thinking about sitting down and starting your blog, but you look and say, oh, well, the dishes haven't been done in a few days, or I need to do laundry, or I should pay that bill that I haven't paid. Whatever your excuses might be. If you think, well, I don't have enough time to start a blog because I have to do the dishes. If you had those dishes sitting there for days, and the only time that those dishes came up into your mind and became important to you was when you were thinking about sitting down and starting your blog, then that's probably you procrastinating. Because do these things actually need to get done? Do your bills need to get paid? Do your dishes need to get done? Yes, all those things need to get done. But if they were sitting there for 3 days and you were fine scrolling through TikTok for hours at a night, those dishes were not important for those things, and you prioritized scrolling on TikTok over doing your dishes, but then the moment that you say, I should start my blog, and you're like, nah, I really got to do these dishes, then you know you're procrastinating because one thing that isn't really that important, scrolling through TikTok, was apparently more important than doing your dishes, but starting your blog was all of a sudden not as important as doing the dishes. Like, hopefully that makes sense. That's how you know when you're procrastinating. Things of importance only come up when you think about starting to work on your goal. And this could be anything. Of course, we're just using blogging as an example here, but you could use this for anything. And this isn't just me talking to you from some high horse that I never procrastinate, I never do these things, I never make up excuses for myself. Absolutely not. I am right there with you. I'm not above or exempt from this critique either. I'm calling myself out just as much as you. And one of the most common ways that I like to procrastinate for me is going through my phone, scrolling through social media, watching videos, and doing way more interesting things than writing a video script, recording, any of the things that I have to do. And that doesn't mean that I don't love my job. While I do love my job, social media is designed to be more important than everything else because they want you to keep scrolling. So it's designed to be more entertaining than anything else you could do. So if you realize that your procrastinating method is, I want to scroll through Facebook all day long as opposed to getting my business started, then you're going to need to try to come up with ways to minimize those distractions. So for me, I have a work mode set up on my phone. So from the hours of 9 to 5, I cannot click on any distracting apps. I'm allowed to choose which ones they are. I, of course, have just chosen social media because no other apps are super distracting to me. And I can turn off that work mode. So when I'm taking a break or I'm taking a day off or I'm out and I want to scroll through social media a little bit, I have the opportunity to do that. But then once that break is over, once I get to work, the work mode goes on and the apps are grayed out and you are not allowed to click on them. That's one of the ways that I keep myself off of my phone instead and I'm able to do some work. And of course, because I can turn it on at any time, it takes discipline to say, okay, now it's time to get to work. But if you don't have discipline, you're not going to get very far in this business anyway, because this entire business is about discipline. If you don't have discipline, you don't have anything in this business. It's going to be very, very difficult or you're going to grow very, very slowly. So figure out what your distractions are and set up a routine for when you're allowed to do them and when you're not allowed to do them so that you can minimize your distractions as much as possible and discipline yourself to work when it is time to work. So now I want to talk about the fear of success and how to actually spot it so that you know that that's the issue and then you can figure out how to work through it from there. And it all comes down to mindset. If you fear success, you're going to self-sabotage yourself into doing the things that help you stay inside your bubble, inside of your comfort zone. And you may think you don't have this fear of success because it sounds a little bit ridiculous to fear success, but the truth is everybody does. It's basically just a comfort zone and everyone has one. Everyone's comfort zone is just a different size. So what I may be comfortable doing, like posting videos on YouTube, you may not be comfortable at doing, but you may be comfortable skydiving, or you may be comfortable talking in front of a crowd of people, or you may be comfortable with traveling. I'm definitely not comfortable with any of those things. So everyone's comfort zone is different. And you'll know when you hit your upper limit, because you can also call upper limit fear of success. It's got a few different names, all means the same thing. But when you hit your upper limit, you'll know it because you can't seem to get past something and you'll procrastinate on it instead. No matter how bad consciously you want this thing, subconsciously, you're not going to be able to do it, or you're always going to come up with excuses, or somehow you're just not going to be able to get past it. So for example, let's say you want to start live streaming on YouTube, but every time you sit down, you're like, I don't have the right camera. I have a pimple on my face today. I haven't washed my hair yet, so I need to do that. I don't want to do my makeup today. If every time you sit down and you have that excuse, you know that your upper limit is streaming is far out of your comfort zone at the moment. And unfortunately, the only way you can get that into your comfort zone is to just do it. So at some point, you have to look at your excuses and be like, no, I'm not listening to you today. It's fine that I haven't washed my hair yet. I'm just going to put it up in a bun so that no one can really tell. And I'm going to start live streaming on YouTube. You have to eventually tell yourself, no, I'm not listening to these excuses, because the only way to get yourself comfortable with that thing is to start doing that thing. So that is how you know where your upper limit is. And your brain is good at convincing you to stay inside your comfort zone, because your brain is trying to protect you and your body from whatever limiting beliefs that you have accrued over the years. And your brain is going to give you a list of your favorite excuses thrown out all of the time. If it worked once, it's going to work again. So if you say, I'm going to get up early for the next week and I'm going to work on my blog before work, but every time that alarm goes off, you say 5 more minutes. I'll do it in an hour. I can do it after work. If you let your brain tell you that, and you go, yeah, you're right, 5 more minutes, snooze. Chances are 5 more minutes, snooze. And then pretty soon you've done that for the last week. And now a week has gone by and you still haven't started your blog. If the moment you start to negotiate with your brain and being like, I'll do it in 5 minutes, I'll do it then, I'll do it after this random event, I'll do it tomorrow, chances are you're probably not going to do it. And you're going to look back and go, this whole month has gone and I haven't even started my blog. What the heck have I been doing? And that's when guilt and shame are probably going to come into the party. and show up and be like, yep, you should have did this thing. And then you're going to start beating yourself up because you haven't done this thing, which is going to make it harder to do that thing. So one day, like I said, you have to break the cycle and be like, no, I don't care that I'm tired. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the thing anyway. And you're going to have to keep doing that. It's not going to be like you get up one day and then the next day you're also going to feel like getting up. Chances are the next day your brain's going to try that excuse again and be like, all right, this didn't work yesterday, but it's probably going to work today. Snooze for 5 more minutes. And if you let it happen, then you're kind of losing. It might happen again the next day. You have to keep telling yourself, no, I'm not going to listen to this excuse. No, I'm not going to listen to this excuse until it becomes a habit and a routine and you start to break out of your comfort zone a little bit. And then now you're excited to work. It's going to be a big process and it can happen over and over again. So you always have to be hyper vigilant of like, what are my list of favorite excuses? What do I procrastinate on? What do I not do? And then try as hard as you can to do the exact opposite. Because that voice in your head telling you to snooze is your fear of success keeping you inside of your comfort zone. And hopefully the goal would be once you move past that voice a little bit and you're excited and you actually want to work, the fear of success will go away a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't feel like the fear of success ever goes away or your upper limit never goes away. The goalposts just move a little bit. So for me, starting a blog was fine. It's here. Now my upper limit was starting a YouTube channel. Starting a YouTube channel was fine. So now for me, live streaming. I'm not interested in live streaming. That sounds terrifying. My upper limit is definitely live streaming on YouTube. I don't plan to ever live stream, and that's fine. There's some things that you can do. Like if you say, I don't really want to do YouTube, you don't have to. I'm not saying that's like the progression. That's just my progression. A lot of people do live streaming. I don't really have an interest in it. I don't think I'll ever plan to live stream on this channel. And that's just my upper limit, but it's also because it's not something that I want to do. I don't feel like it adds anything. And it doesn't really matter. So there are some things you can do that's like, yeah, that is definitely my upper limit and that's okay. But if you want to go after your goals, you're going to have to do things that are scarier and scarier and scarier over time. It's just all about slowly getting comfortable with new things. And something that really helped me was hearing that your struggles aren't unique and they're not special. And that may seem harsh, but it takes away, for me at least, the stigma around the fear or maybe a bit of the shame of having those fears or like the heaviness because they're not special. They're not something that no one has overcome. They're normal. Everyone who started a business was scared to put their first product out there, to put their first post out there. Every YouTuber was scared to put their first video out. So that makes it feel a little bit more normal to know that every single business owner has done and gotten over what you are trying to get over. If you are scared to post your first blog post, everyone who posted the first blog post likely had the exact same fears as you. So you don't have to worry because that means that it's possible to get over it and overcome it. And you're not doing this alone because everybody did the exact same thing. Everyone is feeling these human emotions, even the successful business owners that you see. So that means that it's possible to overcome. And I think that helps a lot with me trying to get over some of my fears. Is like, well, everyone's done this. Everyone's been scared about this. Everyone sucked at the beginning. It's okay. It's normal. But the difference between people who are successful and people who are not successful is one group got over their BS and didn't listen to their excuses anymore and just did the dang thing anyway. And the other group didn't. And I realized during my mindset coaching that I did that I was afraid of failure just as much as I was afraid of success. And the fear of failure, I'm pretty sure everyone can figure out why there is a fear of failure because no one wants to fail. That's pretty understandable. But why would you be afraid of success? That seems weird because why would you not want to be successful? Why would you not want to have the money, the fame, the fortune, the whatever you want out of success? Why would you be afraid of success? And I think it's because moving out of your comfort zone is a scary thing. In order to be successful, you have to do things that you've never done before. If you want the kind of money that you've never had, you have to do the kind of things you've never done before. And that I think is scary. But there's a couple other reasons why that you might be afraid of success. And it's likely coming from a limiting belief that you have. You may not feel like you deserve more money or you deserve more success. You might feel like you are unworthy. And when you start posting yourself up online, you open yourself up to a lot of nasty people giving you nasty opinions about your life. That just unfortunately comes with the territory. There's a lot of miserable people out there. And I don't know what it is about social media, but it brings out the keyboard warriors and they would say things to you over the screen that they wouldn't dare say to you in real life. That unfortunately just comes with the territory. So you might have a fear of being seen or being judged. That was definitely a huge thing for me. I didn't want to be 100% myself online because I was worried about people judging me for who I was, so I presented a watered down version of myself. There's likely a fear of failure there as well, because what if you try this and it doesn't work out? But then again, it's also about limiting beliefs, because I know from my childhood, it came from the deep-rooted belief that I was never good enough, because a lot of our limiting beliefs come from childhood and how we were raised. Some of them we pick up over time, but a lot of them came from when we were younger based off of the people that we were around. And so you might have the deep-rooted belief that you are not good enough, because that's how I was made to feel, or the fact that any mistake that you made was met with some sort of punishment. So if you try something and it doesn't work, or you try something and you make a mistake, the child part of you is still afraid, what if I get into trouble? And at this point, it seems silly to have that fear, because you're like, I'm not going to get into trouble. I'm a grown-ass adult. I can do whatever the heck I want. If I make a mistake, it's fine. No one's going to yell at me. But the child part of you, the inner child, doesn't know that. You still have that inner child part that is scared, and that's where all of your limiting beliefs are being held. So if you were yelled at every time you made a mistake as a child, you're going to subconsciously be worried that that is going to be the case in the future, and you're not allowed to make a mistake, so you can't try out new things, because what if you fail? So keeping yourself stuck in your comfort zone where you don't make mistakes, or you at least have less likelihood to make mistakes and fail less, is the only way that your brain knows how to keep you safe, which is the whole point of the upper limit. Is your brain and your body and your inner child wants to keep you as safe as possible, even if that unfortunately means that you no longer grow. So you have to kind of work through these and figure out what the issue is, because your limiting beliefs and your safety limit and your comfort zone could be hindering you now as opposed to helping you. You also could have limiting money beliefs as well, because a lot of people seem to hate rich people, or they think they're snotty, or they think they've done bad things to get their money, and so they hate rich people. However, simultaneously, they would also like money themselves, because in and of itself, money is not evil. Money is just neutral. Money has done nothing. Sure, people have done bad things to get money, but people have done a lot of good things with their money. And we sometimes look at all of the rich people and say, wow, look at all the terrible things they've done. If you are sitting there looking at all of the bad things that happen to get money, but you also want money at the same time, you're going to be subconsciously pushing away the money that you want, or you're going to be self-sabotaging yourself to every time you get a little bit of money, you're going to hoard it, you're going to spend it, you're going to give it away, you're going to impulse buy. Whatever limiting beliefs that you have is going to manifest in the way that you make money. So you're not going to have a successful business because you're not going to feel like you deserve making money, or you're not going to want money because you think it's the root of all evil. So you want to kind of reevaluate your thoughts on money as well, and try to focus on all of the positive things that happen with it as opposed to the negative. Because if you hate all rich people, why would you want to become something that you hate? And it's not greedy to want money. Everybody wants it because it's literally what we need to survive. So you might have to work on your limiting money beliefs as well, because that is going to potentially be the reason why you're procrastinating on your business and why you've hit your success limit. And I got this concept from a book that I'm reading called Happy Days by Gabby Bernstein. I don't think I have it in here. It's actually in my bedroom because I'm currently reading it. I just started it. But she talks about the fact that you might feel unworthy, which is another limiting belief. And this could be unworthy of your success, unworthy of your goals, or maybe just simply unworthy of love in general. And that's going to make it harder for you to achieve your goals if you feel unworthy of them. It is a great book. I already love it. I've just started it. If you're looking for a good personal development book, I'm going to link that down below because it's definitely a good read, and it's definitely opened up my mind and my eyes to some of the limiting beliefs that I might have that's making it harder to be successful in business. But now, how do you move through this fear? And the answer can vary depending on who you are. Some may need to move through it slowly, and others might need to just bum rush their fears. But the first thing you need to do is recognize when you are hitting your upper limit and call it out for what it is. Like, okay, I am procrastinating right now because I am scared because of X, Y, or Z reason. And then find a way that's help you going to work through it. But the first thing you want to do is recognize it, because it almost brings it to the light, because sometimes we don't even realize why we're procrastinating, or we might not even realize we are procrastinating. So when you call it out for what it is, then it might make it easier for you to come up with a solution, because you're like, okay, I'm procrastinating right now. Why am I procrastinating? And then it's like, well, because I don't want to do it. And it's like, okay, why don't you want to do it? Because I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. There's too many steps. Okay, so now I know I need to break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces so that I don't get overwhelmed, so that I don't procrastinate. And that way you're not running on autopilot, you're actually figuring out why you're actually procrastinating. So once you call out the idea, you can almost take away from it that it's not your fault. And you don't feel like you're failing because like, oh, it's not me, I'm just procrastinating. You know, like it almost like separates you from the issue. At least that's kind of the way that I look at it. Like I know that I have ADHD, and for a while there, I thought it was a moral failing on my part why I couldn't get things done. But then I just learned, you probably just have ADHD. So you can like almost separate it from the issue and be like, okay, it's not me. It's not anything on my part. It's I'm procrastinating. Or it's not me. It's I have ADHD and it's my issues that I'm having that is making this difficult to do. So you aren't like thinking like, well, I procrastinating because I just suck as a human being. It's like, no, I'm procrastinating because I'm scared, which is a valid emotion that I'm allowed to have. And now I can almost hold my own hand to help me work through it, because it takes away a little bit of the shame and a little bit of the confusion, so you know exactly what it is you need to do to fix the problem. And then from there, you have two options. One of them being to move through it slowly. And this does not mean that you take a year to start your blog. That's not what I mean at all. I mean breaking it down step by step while you work through a new thing. And this is something that I did with my coaching services. When I launched my coaching services, there was a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to set up Calendly. I didn't know how to set up Zoom. I didn't know how to use Elementor Pro. There's a lot of things I didn't know how to do. But I did realize that I knew how to write a website copy and figure out exactly what it was that I wanted to offer. And then I did realize, okay, I can pretty much learn how to set up a page myself. And then I step by step slowly Googled the rest of the things that I needed to do, and I took it one bit at a time, as opposed to getting overwhelmed because there were 17 steps and I didn't know how to do 12 of them. And this might be something that helps you out as well. If your goal is to start a blog, I don't recommend writing out a to-do list and start a blog be that one. There's a lot of things that go into starting a blog. And so I would break it down into figuring out my hosting, figuring out my domain name, figuring out my topic, figuring out my branding, breaking it down into smaller bite-sized tasks and working through it slowly so that you don't overwhelm yourself with too much all at once. And then slowly, step by step, piece by piece, you will get a blog running. But if you do find yourself still overwhelmed with the entire process, and you have a lot of questions and you can't seem to find any answers, make sure to check out my coaching. It is a 45-minute one-on-one session called the Blog Kickstarter Coaching Package. I'll leave the links down to it below. We'll basically get on Zoom for 45 minutes. You can ask me any questions that you have, and I will make sure that you leave with a step-by-step process for exactly what it is that you need to do. I've already been coaching some people, and I've gotten some great feedback from it, which is really exciting. People have said that they left with step-by-step instructions of exactly what they need to do, and the overwhelm is gone, which is exactly what I'm trying to do with this. I want to make sure that people can start their blogs and they're not super overwhelmed and they're not wasting time doing things that aren't going to work for them. The second thing you might need to do, if moving slowly doesn't work for you, is you might just need to bum rush your fears. And this doesn't mean that you need to run full steam ahead as fast as you can and at every single one of your fears with no thought to consequences or thinking it through at all. That's not what I mean. Think things through, but then just take the leap. However, you don't need to plan every single step. You don't need to know all of the information first. You'll likely stumble around in the dark a little bit, but you are going to learn a heck of a lot more if you just start a blog and figure it out as you go than if you watch a million of my videos or anybody's videos and watch me do my thing or someone else do their thing. You're going to learn a lot more by doing it yourself. Start the blog you want to start, and then you can always hire out help if you feel really stuck. One of the things that I hired out or got done for me was doing my mindset coaching. It really gave me the kick that I needed to start growing my business into something that I really actually enjoyed. And that's one of the reasons why I started my own coaching as well, because I want to be able to help other women do the exact same thing. But some things are going to be harder to figure out than others. Like if you're not very tech savvy, installing a theme might be something that's really difficult for you. And that's another thing that I offer if that's something that you want to hire out, is I will install blog themes for you so that I can take away a little bit of the overwhelm. Because like I said, that's my ultimate goal, is to help as many people as I can start their dream blogs without the overwhelm, without procrastinating, and getting it done. I want to be able to take the stress work out of that. Because if you're starting a business, it can be overwhelming, but I would rather it be fun rather than tear your hair out stressful. So you can hire out things that you don't know how to do, like installing a theme, like coaching, like figuring out a logo, brand colors. There's a lot of different things that you can hire out. But sometimes you need to do things without worrying about what every single outcome is going to be. And sometimes just bum rushing your fears will bring up fears or limiting subconscious beliefs that you didn't know about, which is a good thing, because then you can work through them and then you won't have those fears anymore. Because if you just jump into something and it might shake out a fear that was so deeply rooted that you didn't even know you had it. And these fears are all going to take time to work through. Your upper success limit, working through procrastination, all of these things are going to take time to work through. And I don't feel like they're ever potentially going to go away. I feel like you're going to have these fears because you're human, and you might find something 5 years down the line that brings up a fear that you thought you worked through. I mean, some of them will go away over time. Like I said, your comfort zone will grow, but bottom line is just be patient with yourself and be loving and forgiving and accepting of the fact that you are human and you have these human emotions, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with you for having these fears because, as I said, everybody does have them. And it can be frustrating when a fear came up that you thought was long gone, but it's just something that you can work through and it'll be okay in the end. So just be patient with yourself and keep working through them. But I hope this podcast was helpful for you. If you want more help working through your goals, make sure to check out my services down below in the description. And if you want to watch more videos from me, check out this last podcast episode where we're talking about your money mindset and how it's killing your success, which we touched on a little bit in this episode. Or check out another video from me right here. Make sure to like if you like and subscribe to my channel down below for more videos just like this. Bye.